It is Sunday, the 26th of May, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Now, we can't talk about metal and rock and all that without talking about Christian metal. This is so funny because I was looking up fucking Skillet earlier today for completely unrelated reasons. I'm kind of kidding. I am talking about a Christian metal band today, but they're not a Christian metal band. They have songs about Christ, and they're all Christians, but they're not a Christian metal band. I am talking today about Avenged Sevenfold, who are in fact named after a Bible verse, yes, as are some of their songs like The Beast and the Harlot, which is from Revelation. Avenged Sevenfold are one of those bands that I wouldn't have thought that I would have gotten into back before I got into metal. I made a new friend in school who showed me a bunch of metal and like new metal and metalcore and pop punk and things like this, you know. The kind of on the fringes metal that a lot of people don't listen to, you know, that ends up being popular because it tends to be quite poppy anyway. And I don't remember what she showed me first. It might have honestly been A Little Piece of Heaven, which, if you know that song, is a wild beginning to this band. But I got into them anyway, particularly the album that A Little Piece of Heaven is from, which is their self-titled album. Really like that album. I really like some of their other stuff as well. The members of the band are Christians. The lead singer is like big into NFTs now and shit, so we're not going to talk about that nonsense. Although, well, something related will come up during the discussion of this song. But what we're talking about today is the song Exist, which is the final track on their 2016 album, The Stage. The Stage is a concept album about the rise of AI and the self-destruction of society. It's very Revelation-y. That makes sense considering how many times they reference Revelation in their songs. But this song in particular is a long one, and I apologize in advance. This is a long fucking song. It's 15 minutes. This album is like way more prog metal than their previous albums, and this song is a real prog metal powerhouse, and I love it so much. I am the kind of person, I've said this before to many people, my favorite song on an album is often the longest. I just love things that go through different stages and stuff. So I'm gonna give you some more preamble here because it is a long song. I want to assure you it is not entirely instrumental, but the instrumental does go on for a long time. Just rest assured, if you're waiting for the vocals to come in, they do come in. Don't worry, it does happen. I also want to talk briefly about, I'll talk about this more when we actually listen to it, but I just want you to go in with this preconception so you'll be thinking about it while listening. The instrumental part is supposed to represent the Big Bang, and then when the vocals come in, that's supposed to represent the birth of humanity and like the creation of Earth, right? Is the idea. So strap the fuck in, listen to the song, and I'll talk to you in 15 minutes. Still with me? Oh, man, I love that song a lot. That's actually the first time I've listened to it in a long while. When I decide that I'm going to do a song for this show, I try to not listen to it until I actually record to have a like fair, even though obviously I know the song beforehand, to have more of a like knee-jerk reaction and kind of remember things as it plays so I can say them. And yeah, I haven't listened to that song in a while. It is, however, it used to be one of my most played, it used to be my number one most played song on Spotify because I had it in my sleep playlist, and it would like lull me into sleep a lot because of how long it is and the repetitive movements of the instruments. But anyway, so that's Exist. I've said it before, I'll say it again, great ending to an album. What I really enjoy about this, I love when music represents the themes, and I know that sounds like a truism, like I love when art is artful, but you know, the stated purpose of it is to sound like the Big Bang, and it truthfully does. You know, you start off with the kind of solar wind sort of sound and the synths, and then the music, the guitars and the drums and everything just fucking explode, and that's the Big Bang, and you understand it, you know, it cuts to the core of you. You understand that that's what you're hearing. And then when you get the birth of humanity, you get the vocals. Now, I mentioned that the concept album is about like the self-destruction of society, and you can view that in sort of a doomer point of view. And this song itself, being about the Big Bang, is kind of talking about what makes humanity and how we should move towards the future, because the rest of the album is about, you know, society falling apart, and this song is like, humans have been doing it for years and we need to keep on doing it and doing it properly. You know what I mean? So the lyrics kind of talk about like the Fermi paradox. I think I've heard it pronounced Fermi actually, but whatever. The Fermi paradox, which is also the name of another song on the album, by the way, which, if you're not familiar, the Fermi paradox is the concept that like there is so much scientifically that points towards the existence of extraterrestrial life, and yet we have absolutely zero evidence of this being true. And it's that paradox of like, how can we know for certain that there is intelligent life out there without actually knowing that, right? That's the Fermi paradox. It came from a conversation that Enrico Fermi had with a bunch of other physicists when he just suddenly said, but where is everybody? That idea of like, if aliens exist, and we think they do, where are they? Why haven't they visited yet? We've been here long enough. And so the lyrics of the song are that whole idea, you know, our truth is painted across the sky, and our reflection we learn to fly. No hand to hold us, no one to save us from tomorrow. Sailing away beyond the reach of anyone, far beyond the dreams of anyone. No light to follow, a shot in the dark. Does anybody know? You know, it's that whole thing of like, we're on a rock hurtling through space, and does anyone out there care? And then the outro is one long speech from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson's a bit of a divisive figure at this point, I think. Apart from being one of the people who killed Pluto, he's just like, he gained this reputation as being like this memey, sassy guy who made physics cool, but he mostly just like actually is people on Twitter these days, and it's just kind of annoying. He just kills jokes and kills fun a lot, but you know, his work is still obviously to be admired, and he still seems like a decent person. His public image can just be a bit annoying at times. But this speech was apparently assembled from a bunch of different speeches and talks he had given. The band contacted him to record a speech for the album, and he basically said, okay, well, read these speeches that I've done and kind of come back to me with what concepts you want me to expand on, and that's how they formed it. Now, originally, they had wanted to use a recording of the Pale Blue Dot speech by Carl Sagan, but the Sagan estate doesn't allow that, apparently, so they had to go with something else. And before I even learned that made complete sense to me, because I love the Pale Blue Dot speech and the photo that it comes from, and it is immediately what I thought of when I listened to this part of the song. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm not going to read the whole speech, but for context, the Pale Blue Dot is a photograph of Earth taken from the Voyager space probe about 6 billion kilometers away from Earth. It was the furthest that anything had ever gotten from Earth that was like launched from it, that was still communicating with it, and it sent back this picture that it took of Earth from that distance. And so in this massive, like this photo of this massive expanse of space, there's 1 pixel of blue, and that's Earth. Hence the Pale Blue Dot. And it's an incredible, I mean, I think it's called the overview effect. Astronauts describe how being on the moon or being like on the International Space Station or in space in general and seeing the Earth just fills you with this strange, overwhelming sense of awe at humanity, and just kind of like everything down there is so small from this perspective. You know, it gives you this strange feeling of universal smallness, and not in a bad way necessarily, but it's a very specific feeling, and this picture is like the closest you can come as a non-astronaut to getting that, I think, because you see this picture 6 billion kilometers away from Earth, and Earth is a pixel, you know. And Carl Sagan famously made a speech about that whole idea of the Earth being so small. There's a particular part from it. From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest, but for us it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every being who ever was lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The speech goes on from there, but, you know, it's just such an incredible thing. There's a quote, I don't remember who the quote is from, but there's some astronaut who said that once he saw Earth, he wanted to drag every politician in the world up and say, look at that, you son of a bitch. But anyway, so the Neil deGrasse Tyson speech forms a similar function, specifically playing into what has already come before in the album and in this song, about how it's not over for humanity. Like, there's all these problems with our society right now, but it's not something that can be defeated because humanity is still here, and we have the capacity to be good, and we have the capacity capacity to change, and we can do that. And the only way to do that is to do it. So it has that whole, we have one collective hope, the Earth, you know, and it speaks to that universal smallness idea. However big our world is in our hearts, our minds, and our outsized atlases, the universe is even bigger. There are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on the world's beaches, more stars in the universe than seconds of time that have passed since Earth formed, more stars than words and sounds ever uttered by all humans who have ever lived. And then it ends with a perspective in which we are the one fitting neither above nor below, but within. I just really like this song musically. I love everything about the structure of it, the way it's half instrumental, half vocal, the way the instrumental builds over time to serve the function of the Big Bang, and the way that the lyrics have this kind of doubtful feel and then the speech has this hopeful feel. I just love the resolution of it. And I love that it does mention God, but it's not a particularly, it's quite a humanist speech from Tyson, which is not a shock given that it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, but that whole idea of not above, not below, but within, kind of, Earth is, what you see is what you get, and we should treat it like that, because that is all we have, and we should be nice to one another. And I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, world peace and all that shit. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for sticking with me for this longer. Well, I don't think the actual episode of the podcast will be that long, considering, but obviously the listening to the song is longer. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe, comment, give a like, tell your friends. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What will you rate it? And I will... Oh, right. Yes, it's Sunday, so it's the end of the week. So next week, complete gear shift from the heavy week. We're doing a Boy Genius week. Who's we? I'm doing a Boy Genius week. Boy Genius are a trio of 3 musicians, Julian Baker, Phoebe Bridgers, and Lucy Dacus. So next week, I'm going to do songs by Boy Genius and all of its members over the course of the week. So look forward to that, I guess. That's going to be the theme for the next week. And that's going to be the end of this episode, so I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
This is so funny because I was looking up fucking Skillet earlier today for completely unrelated reasons. Jesus Christ. John Cooper, what's wrong with you? So much. Anyway. No. Humans have been doing it for years, and we need to keep on doing it and doing it properly. You know what I mean? All the kids are doing it. I think it's called the overview effect. Astronauts describe how being on the moon. There's a quote. I don't remember who the quote is from, but there's a quote from some astronaut. Some astronaut. I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, you understand what I'm saying. World peace and all that shit. Peace and love and peace. Love and peace.